What's going on, everybody? Show Me the Money Club live Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Rideshare Guy. What's going on, Sergio? How you doing?
Excellent. It was a much needed 3-day break, sir. Thank God.
Yes, it was a wonderful Memorial Day. I know you said you didn't have to do any soccer running around, so you got to
No,
relax a little bit,
that
enjoy.
was the best thing.
Um,
First
do
weekend in a long time, I didn't have to drive 300 miles for soccer, so it was good.
nice. I mean, it's not too much different than driving 300 miles for Uber and
Yeah,
Lyft, but
yeah.
it's a little bit different when it's soccer and you got to be there at like 6 in the morning and all that crazy stuff. So, um, did you have a cookout yesterday or anything?
Yeah, we had a barbecue yesterday. You tweeted and I retweeted your, never forget, honor, our
Mhm.
veterans.
Yep.
Without their sacrifice, every which way, mental, physical, right? We wouldn't be able to do this, and all these people here wouldn't be able to do it. So, again, yeah, belated thank you to our veterans. So there
Yep.
you go.
Absolutely. Um, it was a nice day. It was supposed to be a washout, a rainy, cold day, but it ended up being pretty nice yesterday. So that was always good. And then yeah, we had a cookout. I did a stuffed burger with jalapenos and cheese, and it came out
Mhm.
really good. So I enjoyed that. And then kids were having fun and all that. So hopefully you guys had a great time, and everybody watching had a great time as well too over the weekend. It
And
was pretty busy
there you
out on the
go.
road. Seen a
Yeah.
lot of surge pop up. So if you were out
Mm.
driving, you could make some money. It was pretty good there. So hopefully in your market, it was busy as well too.
Yeah, I was checking the app periodically. There was not much going on in LA. Saturday night was good, but then LAX probably was good. But I mean, these holidays are not what they used to be anymore, man. I mean, before Sunday night, because everybody's off on Monday, it would be surging. People would be going out. There was no surge in LA, so I'm like,
Huh.
it's not the same. It's not the same anymore. But it is what it is. So
I don't know. It was pretty good over here. I mean, I was watching the surge maps and seeing it all, and um, all of quite a few places around the area were actually doing pretty good. So I don't know. I guess it was just hit or miss, and maybe it's some of the old traditions coming back. I don't know, but yeah, it wasn't too bad.
yeah, cool. All right.
Right. So
Going.
let's get right into it. Let's see what we're going to be talking about today. Hold on, let me pull it up. All right. So we got a rundown going on today. We're going to be breaking down that Minnesota Uber and Lyft deal. And did drivers really win, or did Uber and Lyft? Or was it kind of a give and take type thing? So we're going to break that down. We really dove into it. Sergio did. And he's got his report all ready for you because he loves to dive deep into things and look for, commas that aren't in the right area and stuff like that to see what's going on. So we got a full breakdown that coming there. Also, we got the Uber median pay data collection slowing down. Sergio's going to fill you in on that, what he's been doing with the pay data and things that he's been kind of researching. We also have the California Prop 22 update after the oral arguments in the appeal case to try to overturn Prop 22. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about, do drivers know what their coverage is with Uber and Lyft? Talking about insurance or lack thereof when it comes down to it as well too. And not only the lack of insurance, but also the high deductibles that you probably don't know about if you're brand new to driving, like so many drivers are.
Yeah,
I think you should tell your story about your new driver that you
I
had
will. Oh, okay.
today
Yeah, actually, that's cool. Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. So we'll talk about that around there too. And then we're also going to be talking about Lyft giving more transparency, or is it a type of gamification or gamification? And then we're also going to be talking about a billionaire complaining about Uber possibly stealing tips from drivers. What's going on there? If you were on X, you probably already know what happened. If you're not, it's going to be pretty good to see what's going on there. And then we're also going to be talking about Washington State. Did they actually lose demand after the law went into effect when it came to driver pay protections and everything else that they have? So we're going to be talking about the supply and demand of drivers and rides that were coming in
Yeah.
Washington. And then, is DoorDash and Uber Eats willing to sabotage their delivery business based on
Yeah.
these laws trying to pay drivers fair wages? What's going on there? And then, of course, we always end on fakes or funnies and all that. And the fakes that you got on there. Oh boy. Oh,
I told you last week. Remember, I told you I got 2 good ones coming up this week, bro.
Oh boy.
I'm telling
Oh,
you.
did you see the one that I posted on X yesterday?
Yeah, that was mine. You know what I'm doing now? The fakes. I'm trying to match it. You know, like the genre of the fake. I'm trying to match it. Like,
I think you could. I think you really could. It's crazy.
wow. I was like, holy crap, this can't be real, but it is real. So anyway, you guys have to wait to the end for that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And then before we get started, we do have a couple of announcements. So if you wouldn't mind kindly liking and sharing the show, it helps get it out to new drivers out there, especially drivers who don't know about the Rideshare Guy and training and all of that good stuff that we can help them so they can be good drivers. And again, this is going right to Sergio's new driver that he had when he took a ride this weekend, which we'll talk about as well. So yes, please kindly share and like. Not only that, we have a Memorial Day sale for our RSG courses. So if you're new or newer and you're looking to really dive in deep to either the rideshare or food delivery aspect of the courses, you can use 15 off RSG for 15% off through May 31st. So you can check out MaximumRidesharingProfits.com. Link's going to be in the description below. And again, it's 15% off through the end of the month. And not only that, if you'd like to help support the channel, you could try becoming a member. You can get perks, and also, again, you help support the channel. We see a few members already in here, like Go Gig It, and a couple others that I saw, Matt, and some more. So thank you. Appreciate the support there. Not only that, again, we do want to try to educate drivers out there, whether you're doing food delivery, whether you're doing rideshare, whether you're in the gig economy or not. And we speak English, and thankfully AI helps with being able to translate English into Spanish on the videos. So we do have a Spanish RSG channel now. So if you know somebody who speaks Spanish, or you speak primarily Spanish and English is maybe your second language, head over and check out the Rideshare Guy en Español. Again, link is going to be in the description there. And if you want delivery content, we are going to kind of separate the channels between the Rideshare Guy being the Rideshare Guy and Rideshare, and then food delivery. So it's going to be the Delivery Guy by RSG. If you want to go over there and head that over there and check that out. So it's going to be, again, link will be in the description there. And also, if you want more in-depth content from the Rideshare Guy, and you want to get notified when new specials, or when YouTube doesn't give out notifications, because they don't always, sign up for the free RSG newsletter. Sergio also writes for them. And he's much more articulate and gets his thoughts across. So if you think he's doing well here, he does even better on the newsletter. So you want to make sure you check that out as well too. And I'm sure Sergio's got something he wants to talk about there.
Yeah, I definitely do. In fact, my latest article dropped today. It was about the details of my commercially paid, I paid out of pocket, Waymo trip last week, detailed with the videos, with everything else, and then I detailed it. I gave Waymo a 3-star, but you guys have to go read the article. Why? Actually, you do have to rate these things, Chris. There's no tipping screen, obviously, but
better not.
Waymo sends you an email saying rate your ride, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna rate you 3 stars, not because it can't drive. That thing drives absolutely great.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
I'm out here.
Sorry,
what about I posted one on X of a Waymo that was trying to do a U-turn and it got stuck. Do you remember Austin Powers? You remember the movie Austin Powers?
But I
No,
know,
seriously.
but
Do you remember that?
Well, I do, but it's like, you know what? Okay, in the 8 minutes that I was in the car, it didn't do any of that. So
well, you got lucky, I guess. But
I guess
yeah.
so. I guess so. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be a frequent frequent rider of the Waymo. I'd rather give my money to the driver, I'm going to say. But then since Uber and Lyft keep, like, I don't know, 60% of those short fares or any fares these days, so I guess I'm going to give my money to Uber, Lyft, and the driver. I don't know, but anyway, so please go check it out. It's I write there a few times a month. The next one that's going to drop is going to be probably later this week. We're going to talk about the Lyft transparency. Let's see what you guys think about it. I don't know if you guys are getting it. I even did a trip on the weekend, and I was like, what the hell is this? Like, these companies, like, right, Chris, they just introduce all these things, but there's no warning. It just shows up. It's
Yep.
like, and then I go, well, that doesn't
You
look
get the
right.
warning about 2 months after if they roll it out.
Yeah,
If they're going to
exactly.
roll it out to new areas, then
You know,
then then you get the notification. But yeah, we'll be
yeah,
talking about that on the show too. So
yeah, we
you'll
are.
kind of have a little bit of a insight before that. So everybody who's watching will be able
Yeah,
to.
please pay attention to that. You're probably gonna get that. Yeah, I mean, we have a full show. Let's get going, and
Right. Well,
you know,
first, before we are doing a little fun thing, we got some
yeah,
great car setups already from the last couple of weeks that we had made this announcement. We're still
facts.
looking for some more. So thank you for the drivers who already sent it our way. We have some videos, we have some pictures of your car setups and some of the stuff that's in there. So we're going to be critiquing it. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be sharing it in a future segment coming up, and then probably in the next couple of weeks. So yes, please, if you have a video or if you got screenshots or photos or anything, send it to Sergio at the rideshareguy.com, so we can react to it, talk about it, and give our thoughts, feedback, etc. from that. So yeah, anything
Yeah, I mean,
on that?
this past week we didn't get any. Okay,
No,
the
there were a
first
couple.
week, were there?
Yep.
Okay, well, we need, like, we're gonna, okay, the reward award winner, the winner. Who's gonna pick? We're gonna pick, or the audience is gonna pick the winner?
I think what we're gonna have to do, we'll probably do our critique, and then we'll probably leave it up to the audience.
Okay, so the winner gets $50. So if you have a setup, not like this, obviously, but setup meaning how your
Well,
phone
if
is
you
set
have
up,
it
if
like
you have
this,
a tablet, if you have, like, we had some really good ones. So you guys better come with the game. We had a couple of really, really good ones, man. I was like, this is gonna be tough to beat, but you never know. Send me your pictures of inside your car, how you have set up to do rideshare. Sergio at the rideshareguy.com. There you go.
all right, let's get into the show itself. Let's talk about as it's titled today, did drivers or Uber and Lyft win in Minnesota? What's going on there? So we're going to break down the law in its entirety. I know Sergio did a deep dive into this, and he's fired up. He's ready to go on this. So let's get right into it, Serge.
I mean, look, this has been going, this soap opera has been going on for, I don't know what now, a year and a half now.
Something.
And finally, the final chapter was done last couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to go through what I think the drivers got it right, and where I think Uber and Lyft benefited from. Look, the top complaint in our universe is what has always been what? Pay, earnings, right? So a lot of people were doing a lot of miscalculating on this deal when it came to the earnings part of this deal that they struck, which was, everybody was like figuring out in their head, $1.28 a mile, 31 cents a minute. I'm gonna swimming in cash. Everything is great. And I'm going like, well, not so fast. I said, you know what? Let me just break this thing down. By the way, this bill, the Uber Lyft bill, was part of an omnibus bill in the Minnesota Senate, which was squeezed in there. The whole bill was sent to me. And thank you at Uber, whoever you are, you know who you are. He told me what page and what section it was in, because this thing was like 450 pages, the whole
Oh my
bill.
God.
And if it wasn't for one of my contacts at Uber, I would have never found it. I would have quit. But he said, section this and line this and this. This is, on its own, is about 30 pages. Why do we need these things? We need it, I guess. But anyway, so here's the deal. The $1.28 and 31. I'm going to go short and sweet. If you guys are interested in this, you can revisit this segment when we put it out again. Slow it down. Take a look at it. Read it. Uber and Lyft and the state of Minnesota decided that they should have a statewide resolution to this, which what Uber and Lyft were asking for. The city of Minneapolis didn't want to get preempted, so they accepted this as well, and so did the drivers. First of all, my hat's off to Malda. Minnesota Uber and Lyft Drivers Association, without their persistence for 2 years, and voting some friendly city council people into the city of Minneapolis, this would not have happened. So congrats, Eid Ali and Malda, for staying strong, staying together, which is a rarity in our driver community. Really, we're just so fragmented anyway. So the city of Minneapolis passed super high mile and minute rates. Uber and Lyft said, we're going to leave. Then they weren't leaving. Then they were leaving. They said, we need a state resolution. All this stuff. It ended here. It ended at $1.28 a mile, 31 cents a minute. Now, this is for only period 3. For drivers who know what period 3 is with a butt in the back seat. Now, period 1 is your app is on, you're idling, you're waiting for a request. Period 2, you have accepted the request, you are on your way to pick up. Period 3 is you have a rider in your car and you're going to the destination. Okay, so this $1.28 and 31 only applies to period 3. That's number 1. Number 2, this is going to kick in December 1 of this year. Now, you guys will figure out on your own. You don't need my help. I figured it out why this is. FYI, I'm allowed to say this. Uber and Lyft were ready to go on July 1. It wasn't Uber and Lyft that said we want to wait until December 1. In fact, it was January 1. Then they pushed it back a month to December 1 for these rates to kick in. So between now and December 1, it's business as usual. Even when December 1 comes around, there's still going to be upfront fares. There's still going to be an algorithm. It's not going to be this, what you guys think it's going to be, meaning, okay, I drove 10 miles in 30 minutes, multiply 10 miles times $1.28 and multiply 30 minutes times 31 cents. That's what I'm going to get. No, not so fast. It's not going to be like that. The algorithm may price those chips at $1.28 and 31 or lower. What's going to happen is that just like Proposition 22 in California, that we have, and just like the new Hocus Pocus 70-30 guarantee Lyft introduced a couple of months ago, there is going to be a top off. So what they're going to do for each driver, Uber and Lyft they're going to total for 2 weeks their total driven miles during period 3 and their total driven minutes during period 3. And they're going to multiply that times 128 and times 31 cents for the duration part. And there is a number that's out there. If you earned more than this, there's no top off. If you earned less than this, then every 2 weeks you're going to get money that brings you up to this 128.31 rate for period 3. The problem with this includes incentives and surge. That was the one that nobody was talking about. And also the 2 weekly top off, nobody was talking about. Everybody was celebrating 128 and 31. So in this case, I think Uber and Lyft got away with one. The fact that surge and incentives, granted, incentives are, not around anymore. Like I haven't had an Uber Quest for 6 months or a Lyft Ride Challenge for a few months, right? But if it's in there, surge and bonus, right? In Lyft's case, if it's in there, that's going to be included. So if you do get $100 Quest, let's say, well, that's going to be included. That $1.28.31 is not exactly $1.28 and 31. But we have our contributor Joe. He's doing great videos. Please go on the channel and check it out. We already kind of knocked heads and figured out what the strategy should be, because there is going to be a top off or you're not going to get a top off after 2 weeks. So on that front, when everybody celebrated $1.28.31, I was like, wait a minute, don't they know that this is happening? So anyway, but that $1.28.31 with the top off is going to equal $15.57 after expenses, which is the minimum wage in Minnesota. Okay, so that's the good part. The other good part is minimum trips are going to be $5. In LA, we're seeing trips on minimum trips now under $3, Chris. So I guess that's the good part, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think Uber and Lyft got a little bit of a break here, to be honest with you. If it was at $1.20 and 31 purely without surge and incentives, because if you're the type of driver that goes out there, at busy times does surge trips, you're never going to get a top off, and your $1.28 and 31 is automatically going to be lowered. Or if you're going to get a juicy quest, you're not getting the $1.28 and 31. So it's not what it seems. Okay. So on this case, front, Uber and Lyft got a break for sure. They don't have to raise the rates on the riders by, God knows what, right? They were saying twice, 3 times, so that's not going to happen. And lastly, when it comes to the earnings part, the city of and the state senators were parading and saying this is going to be a 20% increase, 14% increase. I've spoken to Uber about this in detail. I said, do you guys know what these guys are saying? Like 20% from what? Right? So I guess 20%, if they're going, my experience with all these top offs and 2 weekly calculations is that just like it's happening in California now with Prop 22, the algorithm is going to absolutely peg everything right at that 1557 level. And that's been my experience for the last 3 years with Prop 22, and it's happening now. Every trip I get is $5 for 15 minutes, which is Prop 22 numbers. So on that front, not a huge victory. Now, there are good parts of this. Hold on, it's not all bad. The pay transparency part, that was already there. The riders, I mean, the drivers are going to be able to see the receipt immediately afterwards. In our case, we have to go to the website, or in my case, I can go inside the app. It's all different. But in this case, they're going to have total transparency. Okay. They are, the ping is still 10 seconds. The bill kind of left that vague. The bill says companies must give drivers sufficient time to review fare offers. I don't know what that means, honestly. We do these. I mean, we were getting these anyway. So on the pay transparency part, I don't think there's anything earth shattering. So we'll go to the next screen, next slide. Now, there are 2 things in here that are important. Uber and Lyft wanted at the end of this for all drivers, just like Seattle and Washington State, to admit or to kind of give up their right to unionize or collective bargaining. Uber and Lyft did not get that here. Okay, so that's a big deal. Unlike the law in Washington and settlement in New York, the Minneapolis bill does not explicitly define drivers as independent contractors. Now, that means this saga may continue one day. However, from what I heard from Uber and Lyft is that there is extremely strong language that they're happy with in this bill that drivers are going to stay independent contractors. I mean, look, we do our surveys. 80% of our audience want us, for one reason or another, they want to stay independent contractors. Another good part in this, there is new insurance requirements. We're going to talk about insurance in a segment coming up shortly. We all know Uber and Lyft offer P3, the highest insurance levels, $1 million liability. In Minnesota, that's $1.5 million now, as opposed to, and Uber and Lyft didn't want that. They wanted actually million. They said we're spending $20 million extra a year in premiums because it's $1.5 million. Why don't we lower it to $1 million and give that $20 million to the drivers? They said no, thank God, because that $20 million, the drivers would never see that. At least on this one, they stood firm. The other thing is in this is that the $1 million policy, okay, this is a key point here. You guys need to understand this. When you end the trip, that policy is done. It's finished. In Minnesota's case, what they did is the bill expanded the coverage requirement up to $1 million, not $1.5 million, for the ride-hail drivers. That includes the time immediately after ending the trip. Right, which was a major priority for drivers, which it is, because if you're getting carjacked or if something happens right after the trip ends, Uber can pull their hands off and say, nope, well, we have nothing to do with it. The trip is over. In this case, they got that, which is good. that the coverage continues at $1 million level instead of $1.5 million. So there are some good things in here that they got. On the next slide, there is deactivations. Deactivations, they got a lot out of it, okay? On the deactivation side, there has to be a warning to the driver before you get deactivated. The deactivation is not going to be handled by insiders at Uber and Lyft with the, through the app bullshit, right? Uber and Lyft actually are looking to hire a third-party company for themselves, and Malda, I think, hopefully is going to be the one that helps the drivers with legal help and etc. Another good thing is Uber and Lyft are going to go back and look at all the deactivations for the past 3 years, and if somebody's slipped through, they're going to be allowed, their cases are going to be reopened and allowed to come and get back on the platform. So on the deactivation side, they got some strong language in there that protects the drivers a lot more than in any other state that I know of, except, again, Washington State. And, to summarize, Washington State was the first to enact a statewide wage floor. But in Washington State, they truly have $1.50 a mile and 41 cents a minute. They do not have this top off every 2 weeks. This happens, that happens. In New York, they have the top off. They gave the $26 per active hour. Now, and this varies in every state, by the way. Uber is writing this and Lyft is writing this language the way they want. In Minnesota, it's only on period 3. In New York, it's period 2 and 3. That's what is called active hour for $26 minimum. Seattle, Washington State is the only one that does not have active hour thresholds. In Prop 22, we have period 2 and period 3 as our top off levels. So I'm going to read this part because, this is really key just for you guys to understand what these companies are doing and what these companies' playbook is. And I know a couple of people are in Massachusetts here. There is some massive battles going on in Massachusetts as far as misclassification is concerned. Uber and Lyft have 5, not 1, but 5 Prop 22 clones in the ballot coming up. And I am very nervous about Boston drivers or Massachusetts drivers. Washington State was the first to enact a statewide wage floor for Uber and Lyft drivers in December 2022. Drivers are not guaranteed. See, this is the difference. In the Minnesota case, the trips are not going to come in at $1.28 and 31. They could come in at $1 mile and 15 cents a minute. If you're under, right, and we know we've spoken about this, Chris, right, how they surge shave and all this stuff, right? And to me, the drivers lost there. They shouldn't have accepted that top off. That top off really looks like a weird or different version of Prop 22 here, because the algorithm is uncanny to lower that to your minimum, which is going to be $15.57 in Minnesota. And drivers are not guaranteed $1.31. This is Washington State. And in Seattle proper, they're getting $1.55 a mile and 66 cents per minute. Unlike Minnesota, the rates are required to be met on every trip. On each period 3, you will get this money. It's not going to be top off in Washington State. It's none of this hocus pocus is going to happen. In New York's case, New York State's case, Uber and Lyft drivers in New York State are entitled to $26 per hour on average for the time between accepting fare and dropping a passenger off. And that's the active time that we know of in California on Prop 22. And, I look, and New York City has their own deals, which is $1.36 and 58 cents per minute. And that's also real mileage calculations. Like, you can really figure out what you're going to make by looking at the miles and minutes of the trip. So my conclusion, first of all, we had Steve Wright on from Rides last week. He's in there, fighting with these companies. He's, getting a foothold in there. He's, onboarding, I think, up to 1,600 drivers, not about 7,000 passengers. Look, it's good. Competition is there. The bad thing for Rides is going to be that Uber and Lyft did not leave. If they left, Rides would have been a lot stronger. December 1, you all can figure out why even Uber and Lyft didn't want December 1. You figure out why this December 1 date is in there. We're not going to politicize anything, but you guys can all figure it out. And lastly, I'm gonna call this not a total victory, but a small victory for drivers, because it is not what it seems from the outside. It's not going to be 20 and 31 straight up. There is some, the fact that surge and incentives are included in there are going to fluctuate. That everybody's number is going to fluctuate up and down. And I have spoken to Uber, and I can say this: I asked them, as of December 1, are all trips going to come in at $1.28 and 31, because the algo is going to figure out 5 miles, 15 minutes, multiply, and send the ping with the upfront fare that way. They go, no. Well, we can still undercut it. We can put whatever rate we want on the ping screen, but then in 2 weeks we're going to top it off. Well, the fact that surge and incentives are in there, there's enough wiggle room. I would have preferred a straight $1.28 and 31. But so that's the agreement that everybody came up with, and I'll call it a small victory for drivers, especially on the insurance side, especially on the deactivation side. And we'll wait on December 1, and because I don't want to talk about Minnesota again for a while. So there you go.
My thoughts are, Mike Smith put it in a comment. Also, he said it creates a floor and a ceiling at the same time.
Yep.
And that's really what it does. So here's the thing. This is what they're going to do. They're probably going to keep rates very similar to what they are now.
Yep.
Today and after December 1st. And yeah, you're going to mumble jumble surge. You're going to put it in. You're going to put these bonuses in, because then the top off is that much lower. And I think they're just trying to combine it. And that's the huge loss that Malda and the drivers of that area are just completely screwed on, because the surge was designed to help scatter drivers, but it was also to help with supply and demand in real time. And basically it becomes meaningless at that point, especially if they're still keeping rates relatively close to what they are right now. And then that top off just gets a little bit smaller and smaller over the 2-week period.
I mean, it's going to depend. If you're doing only base trips, Chris, look, I talked to Joe, and we came up with this conclusion. If you're going to do short trips with this, don't. Now, this is going to be more beneficial if you're going to do base trips, okay? Because you have the top off, right? So medium to long trips are going to be the most beneficial to you, because the 128 and 31 truly is going to come into play.
Yep.
Right.
Well,
and if you're going to do short surge trips, you're not even going to get the $1.28 and 31. So
yeah, you want the more period 3 time versus something that's short, especially if it's $5 at a minimum fare. Yep. Now, when it comes to the pay rates, though, overall, like if you add it up and you top it off, I still think it's a win for drivers, because
it is.
Drivers are good around the country are probably getting half of that when you average everything out. So to say that they're probably going to double their pay in some circumstances or close to it, I think that's a huge win. Again, I think when it comes to the surge, when it comes to the bonuses, that's going to really probably piss off drivers now at this point, because it becomes almost like a joke. It's null and void. It's not really going to mean anything at that point.
Let's take the state senators' word. They were all parading themselves, saying we did the best thing for drivers or whatever. Okay, they said 20% more. Drivers are going to earn 20% more. Uber is going to raise the fares 20%, 25%, period. And the fact that this is not kicking in until December 1, they have time. You know how they boil the frog slowly on the driver's side? They're going to do the same thing on the rider side. Every month, 2%, 3%, they're going to increase the fares by 10, 20, 30 cents at a time. And when December, 1 comes into play and $1.28 and 31 kicks in, then riders. But the funny thing is, between now and then, all the raises that they're going to put in, they're not going to pass that on to the driver anyway. They're going to make more money actually between now and December 1. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. So they're playing a nice game there. For themselves.
I thought, I speak to Uber quite a bit, and I was like, shit, man. That that's why I need to be on the table. I wouldn't have accepted this. I wouldn't have accepted the top off. I wouldn't have accepted the surge and incentives kicked in. Bro, those are all different things. Those are in addition to, and on those surge trips, how many times we shown, right? There'll be like an $8 surge.
Does it include tips?
No, tips are all
in addition. At least that's on top of. Okay.
Yeah, that did not change. But you know how we've shown a million times already, right? when the surge is high, fare is low, right? They play the bait and switch thing. And that's what they're going to do. I mean, your $1.28.31 is going to go away if you have an $8 surge on that trip. They're going to send you a trip for 50 cents a mile, right? So, like that surge and incentives are going to replace part of that $1.28.31 that you guys negotiated for. So, but again, small victory on the earnings side, good victory on the deactivation side. Good victory on the minimum fare side. $5 is probably higher than anywhere in the country at the moment. Another good part is obviously the insurance continuing after the ride ends for a period, right? Which is important because most of the things are going to happen right at the end of the trip, and so look, there were some good things. Malta, stood strong, and they kind of got what they wanted. I think everybody got what they wanted here, right? Uber and Lyft did not want to leave. They were all talking a big game. Oh, we're going to leave, blah, blah, blah. Look, the riders were going to get stranded.
Tantrum.
Yeah, as much as I like Steve and rides, they cannot create that kind of scale coming into a new state or city, right? And the riders definitely were going to get stranded. And, now the riders are not going to get stranded. The drivers, as much as I hate to say it, if they had left July 1, I mean, there is no earnings. There's no money, right? And so to me, it's like, I'm not going to call it a win-win-win for everyone because riders are going to lose on this. Uber already clearly said they're going to raise the rates 20 to 30%. I'm like, okay. Drivers, let's say drivers got a 20-25% increase. Riders are going to lose a little bit, and we'll find out how much demand goes down. It's going to be interesting because Uber and Lyft are famous in saying that, right? Oh, demand's going to die and blah, 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 blah. Well, we're going to show you guys. We're going to show you guys Craig right here. Craig is right here. We're going to show you Craig's last couple of weeks earnings. He's in Washington State. He's literally next to the Oregon border, and a lot of Oregon drivers poach into his area to drive. Don't look like his earnings are suffering to me. Actually, you guys are going to be like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah. So.
Yeah, we got a couple of topics before that, but very interesting. But still, the other side, though, is when it comes to Minnesota and it comes to the passengers, we'll see what happens because things can change from area to area. And there's a lot that can play into it. So we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah.
But yeah,
absolutely.
Passengers aren't going to be happy. So, this is the point where drivers, if you are signing up for rides, this is the time to really recruit those passengers and get them changed over. Because Sergio and I were talking about it before, drivers are fed up and they will sign up for a company that comes into the area as competition because, you have more tools in the toolbox, as Sergio says, and it just gives you more chances to get out there and make some money. But the problem is, it's hard to get passengers and it's really hard to break what they're already used to doing. So that means, hey, I'm going out to drink or I need a ride to work or something or to the airport. I'm going to order an Uber because I'm used to doing that. Or I'm going to order a Lyft because that's the company I prefer. So when rides comes in, they have to overcome two things, really. They have to overcome Uber and Lyft, but they also have to overcome the steps that people just normally take without really thinking about it. You got to inject yourself into that. So they got to do a couple of things there in order for them to become very successful in that particular area, or just in general as they expand into new markets in any place.
Yeah. So somebody asked a question about the dash cam. The CEO was on. It's displayride.com. That's the one I have. Another one, Mike said something interesting here. It says slow walk period 3. Slow walk period 3, long mile and all that good stuff. They're catching up on these drivers, right? I mean, a lot of drivers are still trying to long mile it, and then they're getting these threatening emails and they will get deactivated probably. But then luckily there is a deactivation process now. Look, I mean, you got to change tactics, man. Things are going to change December 1. Before then, probably not much is going to change. But on December 1, you have to have your strategy straight up with the new system, but we'll see. We'll keep you guys up to date, but we're not talking about Minneapolis until December 1.
Yeah, Brian, it's RSG, code RSG for display ride.
Anyway, so that's it. That's Minnesota. Congrats to the drivers. They got according to the state, they got a 20% increase. 20% is 20%, man.
Yep.
A lot of drive. Look, man, the numbers I'm looking at around the country are pitiful. Okay, and we're going to talk about it in the next one here coming up. So okay, so listen up. Okay, there's like 200-300 of you. I don't know how many I can see here, and there's thousands of you are going to watch this later. Okay, this I started last November. All right. Okay. Initially, all of you were hot to trot, and I was getting like 30, 40, 50 of these. Okay. Of these in-app messages Uber sends us, maybe up to like 3 times a week. Okay. And you are all behaving nicely and sending me all the time slots. I'm putting tons of work into this, right? I have up to, I think I have 80 CDs now and different time slots. I'm keeping my numbers together. And about 2 months ago, it started slowing down, trickling to nothing. And now I'm not getting any. But then there are like some really, do you guys see the numbers all the way stretched to the right? Those are the people in those cities like Austin or Cleveland. Those are the people religiously sending me their numbers. Okay. Now, please, it's in your app. Okay. Uber sends you this message and it looks like this. So, next screenshot will show you guys what it looks like. I want to get screenshots of this. Okay. As many of you as you can. Don't worry about, I'm overwhelmed as it is. I need you guys start sending me these screenshots as soon as it appears on your app, because on, let's say on the one on the left, right? It will break down. Okay, it says you could get $16 an hour driving Monday through Friday between 7 a.m. 10 a.m. in Atlanta. Ooh. For a specific time period. I will immediately input that, and I'm creating this database of earnings, ebbs and flows. By the way, this is online time. I have confirmed with Uber. This is online time. This is a median price. It includes incentives and it includes tips. Imagine, Chris, driving between 7 and 10 a.m. in Atlanta, Monday through Friday for $16. And this is before expenses, people. Okay. And opportunities in Austin, another one. You could earn 22 by driving Friday through Sunday between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Drunks, $22 an hour, including incentives. Again, this is median. If you're a good driver, you should be earning 50% higher than this. If you're a shit driver, you should probably be earning less than 22. Again, this is what I need to get from you all. All those 80 cities, okay? I collected. I put my, sweat and, tears into this, because every time I see numbers like this, I go like, holy crap, why are we driving? But that's not the point. I'm creating this massive, massive database. So starting today, please pass the word around. Send me. LA, by the way, is blank still, Chris. There's nothing. I got it yesterday. It was blank.
Of course.
So because LA is so low, probably. Here's the deal. Please,
we were getting it. We were getting it for a little bit more on Lyft, not on Uber, nothing from Uber, but on Lyft it would. And now Lyft has gone away, but we're also in New York, so you get that top off anyway. So
yeah,
pretty much everybody's getting 26 an hour.
They're going to pin you at 26.
It's active time, not online, but
yeah. So anyway, please send me these. Start sending me these again. You guys were religiously sending it to me for the first 2 months, and that's how all these 80 cities. I don't care if it's new cities. All I'm asking is, as soon as you get this in your app, take a screenshot, Sergio at the rideshareguy.com. Boom. I'll put it in my spreadsheet. I'm not sharing it with anyone now, but I'm building a case. So I need data. Like these people have data. I need data. So my data source is you guys. So how hard is it? Just take a screenshot of this. If you get it for, Monday through Friday between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m., send me that one. If you get it Monday through Friday between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., send me that one, because I have different columns set up for all this. All I do is input the number. And then I see the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of how this number is moving around in your city. And then maybe we can recommend certain hours to drive, certain hours not to drive. I mean, that's why we're called Show Me the Money. We're trying to figure out what the optimum time is and days are to drive. But besides that, there is other cases that are going to evolve on all of this. And this is Uber sending it to you. Like, they cannot question this, Chris. They go like, oh, where'd you get this number? Well, it's from your app.
Yeah.
Right? Well, so please start sending it to me.
I got 2 things to say. First off, a driver in Atlanta, shout out. to whoever sent that to you, because I see they're watching us in
Yeah.
their little screenshot there. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but shout out to you, driver.
That's right.
And now here's the other question: can you take the Solo app screenshots of what the average is in a particular market as well too? That's using
Absolutely.
real time data.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
if you're
so
signed up to the Solo app, they're gonna give you the
let's
average
expand that.
earnings.
So yeah, so let's expand that. If you have the Solo app, make sure you add or send those screenshots too that show you how you've compared to the average of your area. So not only that, we can see what you're doing, but we can also see what the average of the area actually is in your particular market. So
Absolutely.
Solo would work as well too.
Well, the fact that this is from Uber's mouth makes it a lot more important, right? Because this is not the drivers saying this is what I'm making, this is what I'm making. In Solo's case, they have a database of drivers and they average out what they're making. This is from Uber's mouth. This is undeniable.
Yeah.
They cannot go like, oh, whatever, something like
one of the things though that you can see is you can actually see how real or off they actually are when it comes to these particular numbers. So this is an estimated number on these screenshots here of what you could make. And that's why you have the asterisk down below with that massive fine print. But the Solo is what real-time earnings is. So that actually shows you the actual earnings number. So you can see the estimate versus actual, like what we see on Lyft when it comes to their upfront and how off they usually are. So that would be an interesting thing to see too. So you can actually compare the real numbers.
And this is, again, median. Median means middle, right? You could be earning more, you could be earning less. But when Uber says median, I believe it. And so, yeah, anyway, Sergio at the rideshareguy.com. Start sending him to me, please, so I can update my ADCD database. So there we go.
All right. Well, not only that, we've been talking about laws. We've been talking about a lot of crazy things. And guess what? It all started in California with AB5. And then Uber and Lyft trying to overturn AB5, which basically codified drivers into employees. And Uber Lyft said, no way, no how. So we're going to come up with our own thing. We're going to come up with Prop 22 that went to the polls in November a few years ago. And lo and behold, Prop 22 is law of the land there. But it has been challenged pretty much since it was incepted. And now they're hearing the oral arguments and just heard the oral arguments when it came to Prop 22 to try to overturn. And this is, I believe, in the California Supreme Court, correct? So this is the top. This is the top. You can't go any higher.
This is where it ends. This is where it's going to end. And the oral arguments were last Tuesday. We had to do the show obviously last Tuesday. I had listened maybe like 20 minutes of it, and then I went back and replay. You can go to the California Supreme Court's website if you want to listen. It's only an hour of oral arguments. I thought it was going to be more. Obviously, the pro Prop 22 crowd was there, and then anti Prop 22 crowd through their legal representatives. You guys should listen. And I mean, I definitely formed an opinion of what I think is going to happen. But I have a massive Prop 22 article coming out. With two amazing journalists to show the hocus pocus of Prop 22. So I'm not going to say much of what my opinion is after I listen to the oral arguments, Chris, is that, anyway, a lower court had deemed Prop 22 unconstitutional due to workman's comp issues. Then appellate court overturned that ruling 2-1, saying that Prop 22 is constitutional. And then the anti-Prop 22 groups, including a couple of unions, as well as RDU, Rideshare Drivers United, right, and appealed it to the California Supreme Court. Now, you guys you have to understand the structure of the California Supreme Court, okay? There are 7 justices. 6 are Democrats, okay? And they're all picked by the governor, right? So my point is, it's a left-leaning Supreme Court, so they're going to be kind of friendly to the workers' cause, okay? So I'm going to leave it there. Keep this a short segment. So when is the decision going to come out? This is a massively important decision, by the way. So you guys know, Uber and Lyft do 20, and DoorDash as well. This is not just Uber and Lyft. This is DoorDash and Grubhub and Target Shipped and Walmart Spark and Amazon Flex. I mean, all these companies, right, use gig workers to deliver stuff or do rideshare with. So this is going to be a massively important decision. Number one, if Prop 22 is found to be unconstitutional, the next day, not next month, next week, next year, the next day, AB 5 will be the law of the land. AB 5 is the employee versus independent contractor misclassification issue. The next day, all gig workers will be considered employees of these companies, right? And therefore, I've been getting in my app, because I'm in California, I've been getting in my app saying, don't lose your, freedom. Don't lose your flexibility. Uber is like constantly pumping up these in-app messages to drivers in California. Why is it also going to be important? Uber and Lyft, in Lyft's case, it's more. 27% of Lyft's revenue comes from California. Close to 23% of Uber's revenue. I mean, this is billions of trips, billions of dollars comes from California. Same as with DoorDash. These companies' business models are not set up. There is 1.4 million gig workers in California, full and part-time. Think about it, okay? This is going to be a massive decision because, look, we already know there was a Department of Labor ruling on the federal side that is trying to convert everybody to employees of these companies. But we had a lawyer on. We talked about that. The federal minimum wage in this country is $7 and change. I'm pretty sure every gig worker is earning above that. So the federal case is not going to be that big of a deal. Another important thing here is going to be, we're only thinking about ourselves as rideshare drivers or delivery drivers or couriers, right? There are 600 different professions in California that are true independent contractors. And it's going to affect them as well, just like it affected it in 2018 when AB 5 was the law. And, and Uber and Lyft came, and DoorDash and Grubhub came with 250 million and passed Prop 22, which completely nullified the issue of classification. They did it so everybody stayed independent contractors. Look, there are a lot of people who like Prop 22, and there are a lot of people who hate Prop 22. I have mixed feelings about Prop 22, but I'm just going to defer until those articles are out. I don't want to give anything away because I think it's going to be a massive shot across the bow of these companies when that article comes out. The truth is going to be spoken in that article, just like we did last May when we found a couple $100 million to drivers due to lack of inflation adjustment. So please go listen to it. Please read as much as you want if you're in California. It's really, really an important decision. And the estimates at the moment are third quarter of this year, we should have a decision by the California Supreme Court. If it's found unconstitutional, it's trouble for these companies. So.
Oh, for sure. Do you think they'll bring back the next day the rate or set your own rate and all that stuff to try to curtail it?
I don't think it's going to work in that case because the first time when AB 5 was the law for 9 months, they ignored it completely. On Lyft's side, Lyft completely ignored it, the law for 9 months. Uber at least tried. Uber tried. Uber gave us like the surge meter that we can set our rates, all that stuff, right? And that's when we could see also the upfront destination, all that stuff. Uber at least tried to make us look like independent contractors for those 9 months when they were ignoring the law. But then Prop 22 came and crushed it, and that was it. And the day after Prop 22, by the way, we couldn't see destination, we couldn't set our rates, and that's when the decline started in California when it comes to earnings. And now I swear to God, every time I go out there and drive, Chris, on base, no surge, no incentives, every single trip, short, medium, long, is getting priced right at the Prop 22 marker, which in LA County stands at $20 an hour before expenses. Okay. And I'm going like, yep, that's what they're going to do in Minneapolis, and that's what they're going to do in New York City, and and that's what they do. So that's the playbook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because why not let it run by the algorithm?
Yeah.
The algorithm can make those real-time decisions so the drivers stay right in line. And then that's where you can, that's why we were like, why are there different rates? Well, it's right there, because if a driver is making, X, which is above, they can bring it back down. So they can
Yep.
average out that driver right to that level.
Yep.
So
And
again,
I'm
it
telling you,
creates that floor and ceiling right there.
it's undeniable. $5 for 15 minutes, including P2 and P3. Every trip, even on comfort, $5.50, whatever. And I'm like, it's so obvious now that's what's being done. There's nothing I can do. I mean, if you're going to decide to drive in LA County or in California for base rates, no surge, nothing, you're going to get 21, 22 before expenses. That's it. And then you have to figure out on your own if it's worth doing rideshare any longer. So,
Well, let's move on. Let's talk about our next topic, and this can cost drivers as well too. We've talked about it a few times already on the show before, when it
yeah.
comes to insurance and what coverage there is, and do drivers know what they have, what they don't have, and how much it could cost them in the event of an accident with the high deductibles on Uber and Lyft now. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I want to thank Casey Sheets. She did an amazing. Okay, seriously, this is not because I'm in it. I would definitely, highly urge all of you to go to the Insurify website. We're not trying to push Insurify. She wrote an amazing, amazing, amazing article, in depth. Many quotes, includes mine, which opening quote was mine. Our pay has not kept pace. Rideshare driver disconnect grows with rising insurance and maintenance costs. That was my quote, right? And she titled it as such. I'm like thankful for it, but she did an amazing job. Please go read this article by Cassie Sheets of Insurify. I mean, how many of you know? First of all, how many of you have rideshare insurance? You all know that you're not covered on period 1, right? You all know you're even on a smallest fender bender, you're on the hook for 2,500, right? Even on period 2 and period 3, right? Because you guys should go back and watch some of the interviews we had with Brian Greening from Legal Rideshare in Chicago. What you guys think is not what you guys have, okay? Especially even on period 3. What you guys think you have, up to $1 million liability in the Senate, it's not for you. It's for the other party if you go hit somebody or kill somebody. It's not for you. So I highly recommend reading this article. Number 2, I highly, highly recommend you guys buying the rideshare insurance. As you know, if you do get an offender bender, what is your insurance company going to do? If they find out you're doing Uber and Lyft, they may kick you out, number 1. They are not even going to look at your case. Okay, what if you were in a hit and run? It happened. Actually, I'm interviewing the driver who was beat up 3 weeks ago. He got in a hit and run. Now he has no car. He's going to be homeless in about a week. He's going to be the next behind the wheel coming up this Thursday. You guys should watch that. Poor guy, right? I mean, when it rains, it pours on that guy. But read the article and figure out these insurances that you have. I mean, if you're driving without the rideshare insurance addendum, a lot of companies, your own insurance company may be selling you this as well. It's not that expensive, and it's a peace of mind, and it may cover up to that 25%, $2,500 deductible that you guys will get hit with automatically. There's no ifs and buts about that, and it covers you on period 1, because you have no coverage on period 1. And other places, like states like Texas and a couple other states where Brian said, you have no uninsured motorist insurance. Uber and Lyft can say, oh, yeah, we're giving you commercial insurance, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't exist. Go back and watch those shows. Brian told us what we have, what we don't have. So there you go. Read that article. And when it comes to this article, I mean, it's so well done, okay? And these are all our costs. First column, insurance, maintenance. Everything has gone up. What, 2-3x? I mean, seriously, if you look at, and the only thing that hasn't kept pace, when I said to her, kept pace, is inflation. Our rates, our earnings have not kept pace with inflation. Is any of you earning? Even the government says inflation was like 37%, which is a lot higher in our case, because we know what happened to our cars, tires, oil changes, all the maintenance. We know what happened to our personal insurance rates. As you know, without personal insurance, you cannot even, you have to upload that, right? And you cannot even get on the platform. My personal insurance rates have gone up 45% in a year. 45%, the premiums. Well, are we making enough money to cover all these, increased expenses? Absolutely not. And this article absolutely nails it on the head. On the next one, you guys will see the key takeaways. Rideshare drivers pay an annual average of $2,859 for full coverage insurance, 300 more than non-rideshare drivers. I wonder why that is, because we drive 5,000 miles a month. I mean, all these expenses, gas maintenance, right? Gas maintenance, the percentage of rideshare drivers comparing rates through Insurify. You guys can compare your rates as a comparison site. Is beneficial to you. You should do that. I mean, look, I am just out there trying to battle, putting all these things out there, opening the eyes of the consumer and opening the eyes of these companies, because they have their solid PR departments. They say all this hocus pocus bullshit. Oh, drivers are earning $33 per active hour. Yeah. What good is that if my utilization rate is 50%? That's 16, Uber and Lyft. Stop with the hocus pocus, man. Active time did not exist before you guys showed up. All I know is there's 60 minutes in an hour still. When I'm online, when I'm on your app, what do you think I'm doing? Watching YouTube? I'm waiting for a trip. What do you think I'm doing? So all this stuff, right? This article absolutely breaks everything down. And, Uber and Lyft can say whatever they say. I'm saying for personally, you guys can all, look at your own numbers. I am making less money. Forget adjusted to inflation. Adjusted to inflation, I'm making less than minimum wage in LA at the moment with Prop 22 numbers, for sure. So, and that's why I did those videos. I go, you guys should go flip burgers for $20 an hour with no risk. And, I don't know. Everybody has to have a, reality check within themselves. Why do you keep doing it? If you're not making minimum wage, why do you keep doing it? Because risks are very high. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Thanks again to Cassie Sheets. She did an amazing, amazing job. And yeah, that's it.
Yep. And not only that, the Rideshare guy does have a relationship with Voom Insurance, which is available in 7 different states, which is Arizona, Colorado, Georgia, Maryland, Minnesota, Nevada, and Tennessee. And what's nice with Voom is they also offer a deductible buy down. So you don't need to pay out that $2,500 that we were talking about when it comes to Uber and Lyft. If you get into that little fender bender, having that would help a little bit of peace of mind. So if you're in one of those 7 states, you can go check out Voom, and you can see, take advantage of that particular deductible buy down. So you can get a quote today as well. Link's going to be in the description. If you're not in one of those states, RSG does have a resource guide and marketplace linked in the description as well. So you can make sure that you are covered and you don't want to leave it to chance.
Yeah. And actually, coincidence of coincidences, I'm going to be talking to the CEO of Voom tomorrow morning. We'll know what the deal is about. Before I talk about it, I want to know everything about the company, obviously. And like Chris said, they're in 7 states. I mean, I'm telling you, you guys are taking a huge risk by not having rideshare insurance. It's fact. I mean, if you're driving full time, especially, 2 things: if you don't have a dash cam, and if you don't have rideshare insurance, and if you have a house, God forbid, or if you have any other assets, please protect yourself. I'm telling you, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to get in a fender bender, your fault or not. Please cover your ass. That's all we're saying. And I think Voom does a good job, but I'm going to talk to him tomorrow, and then we'll keep you guys posted.
Oh, speaking of, looking in the live chat right now, Carrie B has said that there was a ride that she took north of north of Los Angeles a couple weeks ago. Lyft charged, she said $168, but she corrected it to $112 for insurance. That's insane.
What?
Send that to us.
Yeah, send that to me, please. The chat's flying. I can't see with my blind glasses anyway. How do, Oh, is that the external expenses thing? Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
That thing is
That's
so
insane.
completely out of control, bro. I
Yep.
mean, come on, man. It's so obvious now. I mean, look, Mr. Risher, I know, you're going to show up, but we can't just do these things, man. Anyway, we're going to talk about your transparency in a second. But yeah, I don't know. One other thing I'm going to start studying, Chris, about this insurance, commercial insurance. You know how these companies constantly complain about commercial insurance rates going up, right?
Yep.
I've already gotten screenshots from Minneapolis. Okay. Uber is there, Lyft is there, and Rides is there. How is it Rides commercial insurance? Their bill, their receipt is so transparent. Okay. Because this is what the fare was. This is what you pay for credit card processing, passenger. This is what you paid for commercial insurance. I'm comparing similar trips, like 3 miles, 10 minutes, 5 miles, 12 minutes, whatever. Apples to apples kind of comparison. How is it that Rides is paying 50% less for the same insurance policy, same coverage that Uber and Lyft are paying at their scale? How is that possible? So is that like some hocus pocus happening there? We're going to break that down coming up. Actually, one of the best things that happened for Rides going to Minneapolis, now we have a true comparison. A small mom and pop shop company offering the same commercial insurance to their riders and drivers, but their rates on the receipt is a lot less than Ubers and Lyfts.
That
The
makes you wonder.
external expenses thing and all that stuff, right? How's that possible? I'm not sure.
That really makes you wonder. That
Well,
really makes you
we're
wonder.
gonna
I
we're
mean,
gonna break that
I
wide
have
open.
my thoughts
Yeah,
and my ideas.
we're gonna break that wide open coming up. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we got to break that down. But one of the nice things that we're going to be looking at is Lyft giving a little bit more transparency. So if you have this in your area, let us know.
Yeah.
We'd like to know exactly where this is at the moment. And if you don't, hopefully you will get it soon. But yeah, they're definitely a little bit more transparent.
Yeah. Okay. So I got 2 of these from Chicago, and Lyft is testing 2 different things. Okay. The 3 screenshots on the left were sent to me immediately. My phone goes off the hook, bim, 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 and I go like, "Oh, something's happening." And sure enough, Lyft is testing 2 different things. Okay. We talked about an app called Maximo. Some of you may have it, right? What it does is it rejects and turns off the other. It's great safety tool to start with, but then the pings last 10 seconds on Uber's case and 15 seconds in Lyft's case. While we're on a trip, we get a trip. We can't even look. 10 seconds is not enough time to analyze all this, but Maximo does do the analysis for you, and you set your filters in it. It either rejects it or accepts the trip and turns the other app off if you're multi-apping. Well, guess what? Lyft, I think, wants to put Maximo out of business because Maximo points out the dollars per mile, what you're getting on that ping, and the hourly rate. It automatically shows you that, right? And if it doesn't set your parameters, and there's also an app called Mistro. So here's Lyft. Look what Lyft is doing, right? Look at the screenshot on the left, people. $19.34 comfort trip, 8 minutes to pick up, 31 minutes to destination. So 39 minutes altogether, right? This is the left 2 are from the middle 2 are from Chicago. And Lyft is automatically figuring out what the active time earnings for that trip for you is going to be and giving you that information already. It says estimated $29.75 hourly rate for this ride. Interesting. On the next one, 18-minute duration combined, pick up and drop off. Lyft goes, you're going to make $31.70 an hour for this ride. Now, this is the hocus pocus that we talked about. And the trip on the left, 4 minutes to pick up, 4 minutes to drop off. It says estimated $30.37 an hour rate for this ride. So Lyft is giving you this information now. What they're not telling you is that this is per active hour. This is not online hour. Active hour is period 2 and period 3. So basically what Lyft is doing is what I do in my head when I'm accepting or declining trips, is adding 7 to 11 on the third screenshot, let's say. That's 18 minutes. How many 18 minutes are there in an hour? 3.2. Then it's taking that 3.2, multiplying it times 951 and coming up with 3170. Interesting. Lyft, I have a question for you. Whoever is watching at Lyft today, I'm sure somebody is. Is this reality? Am I guaranteed to do 2 more identical trips after this to get to that 3170 Lyft? Lyft, why don't you break down what the average utilization rate per driver is in Chicago? I know what it is. Do you know what it is? I bet you guys do. I'll bet you it's about 63%, meaning 37% of the 60 minutes the driver is sitting and doing this in his car. So there is not a goddamn chance this 3170 is going to be reached in any driver's case. Even if a driver accepts nonstop, have auto accept on, very rarely you will hit that $32 per active hour. This is assuming, Chris, that there is no dead time. You're going to go from flower to flower to flower to flower to flower nonstop. This is under the case of accepting everything. Now, Lyft is also testing something different. And this, the one on the right, is my trip. Personal trip. Now, you guys are going to say, you ant, why did you take that trip? Well, that was on my destination filter. I was going to go from my house, the valley, 25 miles away to Cedar Sinai to pick up my daughter from her shift because she didn't have the car that day. This ping came in. I looked at it. I'm going like, holy shit, this is going exactly to Cedar Sinai. I don't give a shit how much it pays. I'm getting paid to go there. So that's why Rideshare is good. So once in a while. Hit the bullseye, but forget the bullseye. I saw this little thing right above the accept button, Chris. It says 90 cents per mile. So they're testing two things. They're testing this active hour hocus pocus thing in certain cities. And in LA, they're testing dollars per mile. I'm going like, they want to put Maximo out of business for sure. so I go like, I accepted the trip and then we'll see what happens next. So by the way, they're doing it is they're adding 2.2 miles to 22.1 miles, which is 24.1 miles. Divide $22.09 to buy 24.3 miles. You are at 90 cents per mile. Would I accept this trip any other occasion? Absolutely not. But I had my destination filter set and it hit a bullseye. I think it was my first bullseye in like 3 years. So on the next screenshot, we'll go into more hocus pocus of Lyft. So this is the new way you guys are going to see now on your screen. You remember how I was highly praising Lyft, saying that they're really transparent on the left side of the box, Chris? It will say the estimate. On the right side of the box, it will say the actual. That's how we knew we were getting time and mileage shaved, right?
Yep.
Okay, look what it is now in the boxes. Now it puts the actual on the left, what the trip took, how long it took, and it gives me my dollars per mile. I'm going like, well, what happened to the, what happened to the transparency? You're giving me 92 cents a mile. I don't really care about that, Lyft. What I care about is I want to see my estimate, and I want to see when the pink guy came in, and I want to see my actual. Don't take that away.
Don't worry. Look underneath. It says compared to estimated.
No, in order to do that, you have to click that box. There's a box that's attached to this. Do you see where it says compared to estimate? Then it opens the next box and gives it to you, the comparison. Why? Why do I have to click to look at that? Just leave it the way it was, Lyft. It was perfect. It really was.
You're getting a lot of info right there too.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're getting the estimate. Look, you're getting the estimate and you're getting the actual. So on this trip, Chris, I drove a six extra minutes. Do you see that? Did I get paid for those extra 6 minutes?
No.
Yeah, Lyft. We're gonna work on this. How about a top off on this, Lyft? How about we do this, Lyft?
But hold on, you did drive a little less. So instead of 24.3 miles, you only drove 23.77 miles. So Serge,
Let me. Yeah, I know. Get that. You're saying that. Thank God they didn't cut my rate, right? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, hey, it's give and take here.
Okay. Let me give you the straight up on this. Let me give you the straight up on this. Okay. Before upfront fares, my rates in LA were 80 cents a mile and 13 cents a minute. Okay. 80 cents a mile times 23.77 miles. Let's say 24, right? Right then and there, Chris, 80 cents times 23.24, okay, is about $20. 50 minutes times 13 is another 6.5. This, I made 22.09 on this trip. You know, with the miles and minutes, I would have made 26.5.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? When the upfront fares come in, what kind of haircut we're getting? You see these people? This is reality. So, and then, you know, it gives you this. Okay. And Lyft calls it transparency. Lyft's giving you now the active per trip, active hour earnings, dollars per mile earnings. I'm wondering what's going to happen if a trip, you know, destination has changed and you go on an extra 10 miles, right? Obviously, in most cases, what I'm hearing is that they're not doing the upward adjustment. But then let's move to the next screenshot without extending it too much. Of course, curiosity is curiosity. I click, you know, I go to the 70/30 hocus pocus screen, right? Look at this chip, Chris. How'd you like this apples? The rider paid $49.20, and the external fees were $26.61.
More than your hey. But I love their fee. Their Lyft estimated fee is only 50 cents for that ride that they made. They only made 50 cents on you for
That's
that
what they're
ride.
going to say. That's what they're going to say.
Uh-huh.
They're going to say they made 1% on this trip.
Magic.
Do you agree or disagree?
I call bullshit on it.
The external fee was more than 50% of the fare.
Yep. I mean, let's be real. The passenger paid almost $50 and you only made 22. That means Lyft took over 50%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It don't matter how you look at it, don't matter how you break it down. That's the reality of it.
Well, I sent this to Lyft. Lyft says we only made 1% on this.
Bullshit. I call bull.
That's
you know what?
saying,
Here's the thing. I'm going to do a rides comparison. And for some reason, I'm going to see the credit card processing fee and the commercial insurance, which will only come out to $12.12. And where did that $14 extra go to make up that 26?
Yeah. Yeah. So there are so many things wrong with this. I drove an extra 6 minutes on the house, although I drove about half a mile less from the estimate. And look what it does. On the estimate, the ping came in at 90 cents a mile, right?
Yep.
But when I finished, because the you know, I drove a half a mile less, they calculated it that I made 92 cents a mile on this trip. Well, what about my 6 extra minutes, Lyft?
No, actually, what about your 50 minutes total? They don't even account for that in there. They're only giving you 92 cents a mile. They're not even including time.
Yeah. No, time is irrelevant to our time is irrelevant. We don't live by time. You know, we just, I don't know. Just time is not a consideration in Lyft's case. You know, the only thing you, Mr. Vischer, or me, I cannot get back is time in this life. We're all getting older. And this is complete and utter hocus pocus right here. So I do appreciate the chance. I do appreciate the attempt to transparency. I don't think any driver pays attention to dollars per mile. Maybe some drivers do. I think most of them go accept.
Yeah. I think some do. I think some just put auto accept. They're like, oh, got to ride. Good. Now, I got a question for the chat.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is going to be more transparent with that there? Or do you think this is a gamification of it? Put in the chat, let us know what you think. Is it gamification or is it transparent? You don't have to give why, just either or, and
we'll put either T or G. How about that? Transparent or gamification? Yeah. So I'm thinking, I appreciate it, Lyft. Okay. You're showing me my active hour, possible active hour earnings, because there's no guarantees. I know Chicago utilization rates are 62, 63%. Okay, there you go. So that active hour clock thing, I don't know. You know, but look, is it more than Uber though? Hell yeah. Right?
Oh God, yeah.
Uber's not going to show you any of this stuff. I mean, let's compare that to the two. Oh, the other thing is, you know, on Lyft, all the way throughout the trip, the fare stays on the screen. On Uber, you don't know. You just accepted it unless you take a screenshot, like we always recommend people to do. You don't know. On Lyft, at least that's another good part. It stays there. It looks at you, says, you're gonna dump shit. You're gonna make $22. Guess what, by the way, Chris? That's almost an hour, right? 50 minutes. That's exactly Prop 22 money right there. 22 right there,
that
buddy.
is.
Yeah.
And that includes your utilization time of wait time.
Yeah, and that includes, that's before expenses. So you know. Yeah.
Those little stink pots.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I think that's
no,
so
I think it's good. I think it's good they do it, but I mean, why? I don't know. But look, more information, I guess, is good, man. Right?
I think it's good.
Uber,
but
learn from David Risher. Look what he's doing. He's giving you all this information, telling the driver, this is what you're gonna make, 92 cents a mile. Uber can do that on the pink screen, right? Easily, if Lyft is doing it. Or it says it's gonna make $31 per active hour, even if it's a 5-minute trip. You know, like extrapolating to that active hour thing. So some people may like it.
Honestly, I think it's more transparent on useless information.
Well, I don't know. Maybe look, we're thinking we're all like veteran drivers. You know, is this the time I talk about that driver yesterday? Yeah. Okay, so I was in Mid-City having lunch and doing shopping with my kids. I ordered the Uber. Okay, this man showed up. I mean, it was like a 2-mile, maybe 8-minute trip. He showed up. First of all, he was in a Toyota Corolla hybrid, so I go like, okay, it's the right car. It's the right car to do rideshare with in LA anyway. And then so I'm trying to go into the front seat. He had his big ass bag in the front seat, so I couldn't go. So now it's a smallish kind of car, so we all have to squeeze in like in the back seat, like like sardines, me and my daughter and my son. And so he starts the ride. He has a phone holder right there, like in front of him. What is he doing? What is this guy doing? He's holding the phone in his hand, looking at it, and with the left hand, he's steering and driving. So that did not sit well with me. I mean, look, I'm a passenger, but I told him, how long you been driving, buddy? He goes, oh, it's my 3rd day today. Complete newbie, right? I'm like, okay. So look, I do this for a living. Let me give you some tips, make your life better, because I'm not the asshole, but if this was an asshole passenger and they will report you as unsafe to Uber, plus Uber knows through the gyroscope that the phone is not on a holder, but you have a holder. Why don't you put the phone on the holder? I go, they will deactivate you. He goes, oh my God, is that for real? I'm like, yeah. Anyway, so we kept talking. I tipped him, obviously, I got to do what I got to do. And, but, I gave him a lecture for 8 minutes. The guy learned quite a bit, which is cool. And, but the point I'm trying to make here is Uber and Lyft do not educate their drivers. They don't tell them what to do, what not to do. They don't tell them the insurance coverage is none of it. It's all hidden. There are no videos that you can watch and say, this is that we have those videos, we'll call evergreen videos. Hundreds of thousands of people have watched it over the last 5-6 years, right? How to use the app, how to be more efficient, how to make more money.
Millions of drivers.
The what?
I said, but there are millions of drivers.
And they don't do it. They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They want to keep him in the dark. They want to throw him out into the wolves. And this guy truly would have gotten deactivated. I mean, if you're holding the phone and you're steering with the left hand and looking at the phone like this, I mean, some passengers are going to, and it's truly unsafe, actually. I mean, and I was like, anyway, so what I'm saying is that Uber, Lyft, and in Lyft's case, now they're giving you all the information. What you're going to make per active hour, dollars per mile, upfront fare, right? I kudos to Lyft. I mean, hey, why not? I got nothing else to say.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's talk about Bill Ackman. So for those
Twitter was on fire.
Oh yeah. So for those who don't know Bill Ackman is a billionaire, and we want to invite him onto the show as a open invitation to talk about this, because we will fill him with a lot more knowledge than tip shaving and a lot of the other shaving that goes on. But yeah, it was a very interesting Twitter or X at this point now post that he had made, and Uber support had stepped in and say a couple of things here. So,
Yeah. I mean, okay, if you don't know who Bill Ackman is, okay, well, you may not know, obviously. I do because I'm in trading and what. Oh, this is a segue. I have a new channel. I'm going to say 30 seconds. Please go subscribe at Sergio Avidian on YouTube. It's about finance. It's not about gig economy. I'm teaching you guys how to trade stocks, about options, about crypto, about technical analysis, fundamental analysis, cussing the Fed out constantly, cussing the Treasury out constantly because they're fucking us up with inflation, because they're doing, all this good stuff, right? It's me, but on finance, which I know 10x more than I know this, which I've been doing for 30 years for a living. So please go subscribe at Sergio Avidian. So Bill Ackman is a multi-billionaire with a B hedge fund trader. I followed his career, his legendary battles with Carl Icahn on his Herbalife short days. Not the point. He ordered an Uber in New York City. Uber sent him a yellow cab. Uber did not send him an Uber. Uber sent him a yellow cab because all the cabs in New York City now are under the Uber platform, right? But supposedly, that platform is Curb. It's not Uber's platform. It's called Curb, C-U-R-B. So Bill Ackman, with his billions, gets into the Uber cab and $25 trip. And the tweet was on, he's got like 1.2 million followers on Twitter. But I looked at all his tweets. I followed him. This tweet got more hits than any of his other tweets, close to like 4.7 million last time I checked, okay? So he gets in an Uber. He finishes the trip. The trip is $25. Initially, he thought, oh, how nice of Uber. They effed all the cabs. Now they're trying to help the cabs. I'm going like, that's hocus pocus right there, Bill, if I may call you Bill, sir. And then he goes, okay, I said this could not be true. So he goes, after the trip is over, $25 was the fare. And he tipped the driver $5. Now, you can all say, oh, he's a billionaire. Why didn't he tip 20? I don't know. What the fuck do I know? All I know is he tipped 5. And he's expecting the tip to show up right away. It didn't show up. So next screenshot, he tweeted this as is, right? And here's the screen on the fare. You guys may not be able to see it, but it only shows 25. So he waited in the car for a couple extra minutes. The tip never showed up. So you know how all of you send me hundreds of emails saying that, oh, they're stealing my tip. He goes further, right? And says, I texted Dara, which is, I guess they have personal numbers. I don't have Dara's number. Dara knows who I am, but I don't have his number. He probably has mine because I'm a driver. I texted Dikos, which is Dara, from Uber midday today, and sent this photo of the driver's screen. He did not respond. I like Dara, but this is really bad. I can only assume that Dara is unaware of this, that drivers are not getting the tips. Uber needs to, now this is the part that my finance side kicked in immediately. Uber needs to immediately return the stolen funds. This is heavy language, Chris. This is not bullshit, okay? Stolen funds with interest to the New York City taxi drivers and to other drivers in any other markets where they are doing the same, and they should deeply apologize. This is from a multi-billionaire. Across the shot of, take a shot to the bowels of Uber. And Uber should, this part killed me, Uber should restate its earnings to reflect this overstatement of margins and profits. This needs to happen now. Mayor Adams, I am sure, agrees. Now, Uber comes back. Dara did not come back to this guy. Obviously, he was traveling, I guess, whatever. But Uber says, hi, Bill. We're stepping in for Dara, who's on a business trip. I mean, seriously. We pass 100% of the tip to Curb, our taxi partner. See, the machine here says Curb. So Uber, of course, is blaming, Chris, Curb for stealing the tip because Curb is the one between Uber and the taxi driver. Typical Uber. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not our fault.
Yeah. the tip isn't showing on the screen because passengers tip after the trip ends. Yeah, moron, that's what happens. And this screen doesn't refresh. Of course it does. I turn the app off, turn it back on. How about that? See, so all this hocus pocus, this must be the cut and paste of Uber support hell from Philippines. That's why the screen says tip may be added by passenger after tip. While Bill Ackman is saying, I put the tip in there, it didn't show up. I waited 5 minutes, the tip still didn't show up. Okay. So I have all this ammunition. I go to Twitter land myself. I don't have anywhere near his, I think I have like 1,400 followers on Twitter. Okay. So I retweeted this. I invited Mr. Ackman to either show me the money, which will open your eyes, Mr. Ackman. I'm telling you, will open your eyes to a wonderful world of hocus pocus. Okay. I went back at it again. If nothing, Chris, I'm persistent. I'm like a goddamn bulldog. Okay. I'm going to hunt this guy down. Mr. Ackman, open invitation. Okay. Because, not because of, you know, that you didn't get the tip and whatever. That's not the point. That last paragraph, okay, reads a lot to me, Mr. Ackman. I'm in finance. I'm in trading. Are you short Uber stock? Are you? Is that what's happening here? Because that's a heavy, heavy, heavy hit where it says, and Uber should restate its earnings to reflect this overstatement of margins and profits. First of all, tips go to the driver is not involved in margins. It's not involved in profits. There is a lot of cryptic messaging going on here, Bill. I would love to interview you either here, show me the money, or on my other YouTube channel where all of these people are going to go subscribe now at Sergio Video. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to finance, and I definitely know what I'm talking about when it comes to Rideshare. I definitely know what I'm talking about when it comes to Uber and Lyft. So, open invitation, sir. I'm going to keep tweeting it to you, tagging you until you either block me or you give up and say, yeah, let's hear about this. Because if you're short Uber stock, you know, we may have some good ammunition for you, sir. But anyway, yeah.
Tipgate.
Tipgate. I said that on today's tweet, Tipgate. On when I was putting the show me the money tweet up, I go Tipgate.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so Mr. Ackman, open invitation. So what do you guys think? Uber stealing tips or no? No? No?
I don't know. I think it could be a pass through. I mean, honestly, if it is passing through, it could take time for it to go.
Yeah.
And it could just be,
Well,
I mean,
you know, out of all explanation, I think I may even accept this explanation because if Curb is the system that's running the cabs on the Uber platform, it's a separate system. Maybe Curb has a delay or whatever. But a lot of people, Chris, send me, they stole my tip. I saw the passenger tip and the tip did not show up, right? You hear this all the time. And I asked them,
I mean, honestly, here's the thing. We hear a lot of things that drivers say, and without any type of proof, you got nothing. So that means you have to literally get the screenshot with the timestamp from the passenger showing that they tipped, and then you have to show a timestamp of you not receiving the tip for an extended amount of time after that screen. That's the only way you're going to be able to actually see for real. Because the passenger is always going to say, "Oh, I got you in the app. Oh yeah, I'll tip you." But in actuality, they could just, you know, do a couple of things, make it look like they tipped, and they never really did.
Yesterday, even with that guy holding the phone and driving, I mean, look, I tip all the time. So I would have tipped him $5 if the phone was on a holder because I tipped him $3. It was like my fare was $7. He probably made 3.5. So I tip him $3. And I made sure I'm tipping you $3 now. Or did you get the tip? Literally, bro, like by the time I go click $3 and tip on a $7 trip, within 10 seconds, he got the tip. So the tip went through. I don't know what to say. So it's hard to prove, but Mr. Ackman, I'm going to put the segment on Twitter. I'm going to pound it. I'm going to make sure everybody tags you until you get sick of all these drivers tagging you and you come on. I have folders for you if you're short the stock. So, you know, anyway. So, yeah, I guess a billionaire has to get involved for this to get this much play. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. So everybody who's got Max, hit at Bill Ackman and
Yes,
tag Sergio as well too. So hopefully we can get him on. It'll be very interesting conversation for sure.
absolutely. Only half hour. It'll be worth your time, Bill, Mr. Bill Ackman. Half hour. It's just half hour of your life. I mean, I know you're a billionaire. I
Yeah,
know you got bigger
here's the
fish to
thing.
fry.
You know how much money a half hour to him is worth? A
Yes, I
lot.
do. Yeah, but
A
if
lot.
he's short Uber stock, because that statement says a lot.
True.
He came like, oh, restate earnings, profits, margins. I'm like, Bill, first of all, education 101. Tips don't go into margins. Now, if they did steal it, that 5 went somewhere. But which column on the earnings report, having listened to every single earnings report since they went public, Bill, I don't know. But there was a lot of messaging in there. I don't know. I read a lot, and that was an interesting tweet. But anyway, so open invitation,
Yep.
sir.
Yeah. And when it comes to tips, again, most of the time you get them right away, but there are always times where it's delayed. And even earnings, how many times have you gone taken a trip and then you didn't get the earnings and it takes like an hour or two or a couple hours, even sometimes up to a day for it to actually show up? I mean, how many times has that happened?
I love this idea.
Well, there is a billionaire that tips people $100 when they're just walking by, but a lot of people don't like him.
Who's that? I want
But
to walk by. I want to walk by him.
well,
Oh,
for his workers,
we missed the
a little
super chat.
different.
Roxy, thank you, Roxy.
Yeah, Roxy, thank you, appreciate it.
Your car is in the running, Roxy. I don't know. You got tough competition, Roxy. But anyway, so yeah, that was interesting. That was Twitter on fire.
All right, well let's move on. Let's talk about the demand in Washington. Now,
Yeah,
Washington, we've talked about for a while because we like the law. We think it's good because it sets a true minimum rate for time and distance per ride, which is not the same thing as what's going on in Minnesota, but it
yeah,
did raise rates. And as the little crying children that Uber and Lyft are, when they don't get their way, wah wah wah. What ends up happening is they're like, oh, well, demand has gone away. But the reality is,
no.
didn't that really happen?
All
I
right,
don't
so
know.
Craig, are you here still, Craig? Here's here, right here. Lift tips take up to okay, whatever. Craig, these are your numbers. Be proud, Craig. Anyway, Craig right here is in Washington State. He's not even in Seattle. These are not the $1.55 and 61 rates, Chris. He's like $1.30. He's like in the chump chain rates. Okay. But so he
Oh,
sent
please.
me these things. So and they had an inflation adjustment, by the way. So his rates are $1.30 something and 38 cents a mile. And this is the rate card on Lyft on the left hand side. Wouldn't you all like to have that rate card? Yeah, we would.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, and he's in literally at the border of Oregon. So a lot of Portland drivers and Oregon drivers poach into his city because once you go across the bridge into Washington State, you're getting the Washington State rates. And why does Uber allow that, by the way, and Lyft allow that? They shouldn't, right? All the poachers come in and oversaturating his market. So his market is oversaturated. A lot of knuckleheads on the internet go, oh, if the fares go up, demand is going to go down. It's economics 101. I have an econ degree. I know that. That's not the point, though. It's not happening. People are used to Uber and Lyft. They're using it. High rates, low rates, whatever the F it is. So,
Hey, Paul,
with
thank you
that
for this.
said, May 6th, May 12th. Look at those numbers, Chris. Do you like those numbers? And by the way, Craig drives an EV and he drives standard. He's not black, XL, any of that shit. You like those numbers, Chris?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. 12 hours, 25 minutes with a rider in the car.
Okay.
294 miles driven. 295, we'll just say,
Okay.
for
300.
$939.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad. But what I like even more is he got the boost. He got a 4% boost, $43 more because he made it under the 70/30. So he only made 66. So that means that on top of these high rates, they're still charging the 70/30 plus all of the crazy expenses that they're probably already doing, the external expenses and all that.
Yeah, but
And they're still
I'm looking at his numbers as okay. So the 12 hours and 28 minutes with the rider, right? So let's add, to be safe, let's add 25% to that to get to active time, right? Meaning the P2, right?
Mhm.
So that would be like 15 hours, 16 hours, 20 hours. Let's do that. 939 divided by 20. What is that? $45 an hour? What happened to demand dying? I don't know. He did 70 trips in a week. And the week after, Chris, it even got better.
Mhm.
Look at those numbers. So for all the knuckleheads out there who are saying, oh, there's going to be so many more drivers, there's not going to be enough orders, demand is going to collapse, that's Uber and Lyft. And there are some people on Twitter that go, oh, because the more people are going to drive now because the pay is so good. I don't know, man. Craig's doing fine on the border on top of that. And these are not even the Seattle rates. These are the Washington State rates. He knocked out, I don't know, 51 trips, 13 hours and 24 minutes. I'm sure he's got an EV credit in there somewhere. And I mean, he killed it. He's making like 60 bucks an hour. You guys don't want to make this kind of money? No? I don't know. So that's why we need to push Seattle. Not the Minneapolis, Minnesota deal, top off, all that bullshit. Craig drives and he gets paid, if he was in Seattle, $1.55 a mile and 61 cents a minute for each mile with a butt in the back seat. Done. And he sent me the final update on that week, Chris. May 13th to May 19th. His earnings went higher.
Yeah.
And look at the top off. 8% top off he got because of the 70-30. Hocus pocus. Look at the one on
Nice.
the right.
An extra 139 right there.
Yes, sir.
So here's the thing. So technically he's making more than the rates that they're giving that are on the law.
No, because the look at the estimated Lyft fee, Chris. Okay, the
Yeah,
passenger.
no. Listen. I mean, think about it. If he's getting a top off to the 70-30, he's getting paid the time and distance after each trip, but he's still getting a top off on top of that. That means they're actually giving him more per mile and minute than what the Seattle and the Washington law actually is.
Absolutely, yeah. Because that's when the Lyft transparency comes into play. I mean, look, this is good for him. He got an extra $139.
Now,
because
there is something though that I really have paid attention to when I'm looking at this. If you go, hold on, let me go back. If you look at the first screenshot in the center, the May 6th through 12th, if you look at how much the passenger paid, $1377.68, then you look at the external expenses, and it's only $181.47. Then you look at the Lyft fee, and that's $401.95, where he gets a top off of 4% there. Good for you. Then hold on, we'll scroll to the next screen because the two are the same. Then you look at the passenger payments here of $18.25, and the Lyft external fee.
Look at the one on the right. Look at the one on the right.
Hold on, I got to finish what my point is here.
Okay.
265, where the Lyft fee is $604, and then the following week he makes passenger payments is $2,006. The Lyft external fees are $293, and the Lyft fee is $652. You notice something here, that the bloated external fee is not as bloated in Washington over those few weeks that he has shared compared to other areas that around the country. And yet the Lyft fee, the estimated Lyft fee is peanuts. Peanuts compared to the bloated external fees.
Okay, remember the trip? Remember my trip? On my trip, the external fee was 50%, right? Or more of the fare, right? But then the Lyft fee was tiny, like 1%, right?
50 cents.
So this is the game that they're playing, okay, with this 30/70. If the external fees, like in Craig's case, is low, the Lyft fee is super high. If the external fee is very high, the Lyft fee is very low. You see what I'm saying? You see what's happening here?
Here's the thing. But if you look, 3 trips that are happening in Washington with that particular law, and you're seeing the external fees in a much more manageable spot versus the estimated Lyft fee.
Yeah.
And you're still getting the top offs on top of it. There's something I would like to see. I think we need to get more screenshots from this for the weekly breakdowns coming from Lyft all over the area, not only just Washington, because I want to see, is Washington more in line? Does that mean that their external fees aren't bloated like we're seeing in other areas? Because some of these weekly breakdowns that I see, these external fees are insane.
Yeah, but
They're
we know
literally
external fees.
50%, 60% sometimes of what passengers pay to what drivers are making. And then Lyft is saying, oh, we only made 10% on you. And it's like the reality is that doesn't make any sense.
No, but they're playing this two columns are being shifted, right? If external fees is very high, lift take is low. If external fees are very low, like in this case, lift take is very high. And in this case, the algo went really apeshit on Craig. So Lyft's calculation is this on the right screenshot, which is the final of that week. If there, those two are the same week. So $2,000 a passenger paid. Take out 300, which is the external fee. You're left with 1,700. Lyft took about almost $700 of that 1,700, right? So that's way above the 70-30 cut, and that's why Craig got himself $139, right? So I'm telling you, I've seen million of these screenshots. When external fees are super high, Lyft take is low. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's my assumption, let's say. And when external fees are low, like in Chris' case, Lyft take is super high. So those two are being shifted by the algo. So Lyft is pegging everything right at 70-30 in case something goes wrong, and then they're giving money to the driver saying, look how transparent we are. We're giving you your money back. The money that was yours, by the way.
You know what we call that? We call that Lyft fuzzy math.
Yeah, it's okay. Whatever. So congrats, Craig. Killing it. $60 an hour for all the knuckleheads everywhere. Demand did not die. Craig's still making money. I don't know. You know, higher rates are always good for the driver, and the drivers and riders are paying. So let's move on from this.
Let's talk about something else that's going on in Seattle. Talking about Uber Eats, DoorDash, and what they're looking at doing.
Yeah, they're actually rewriting the law, Chris, because this is not for rideshare, by the way. It's for delivery. You know, they passed the minimum wage laws in Seattle for delivery.
Yep.
And as soon as they passed the law, Uber and Lyft tacked on $5 to the to the consumer's bill. $5 immediately the next day. And then a week later, all the articles are coming out saying that, oh, demand is down 40% because people are not ordering. How about this, Uber and Lyft? How about you didn't have to tack that on? Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, DoorDash, all of you. If you are in a business that you cannot pay a fair wage to your people, you should not be in business. That means that business is shit. That means that business unit economics is upside down. If the only way you guys can turn a profit is suck on the back of your couriers and drivers, it makes it so obvious that you raise the rates $5 the day after they passed the minimum wage law. Okay? That means you weren't paying minimum wage until then. Okay? And then you go complain saying that, oh, orders are down. It's because we raised the rates. Sir, madam, whoever it is running Uber Eats and DoorDash, how about this? Delivery is a horrible business. DoorDash did 652 million orders last quarter. They still managed to lose $130 million. There is no more blood left in the rock, people. You're charging all these fees to the customer. You're paying as little as you can. You're charging 30% to the restaurants. Nobody likes DoorDash. Nobody likes these third-party apps when it comes to restaurants. You created a business out of the blue. You're sucking all three customers of yours, the blood dry, the driver, the consumer, and the restaurant, and you still can't make money. And now you're sabotaging your own business by saying, oh, we can't pay minimum wage. We can afford to pay minimum wage. That's why we have to put a surcharge of $5. And some consumer.
Sergio.
Oh yeah, he can put that there. He can say he can wait. So here's the deal. There is a Seattle resident this is the first of its kind, people, who just filed this lawsuit with the FTC that they're misleading with these junk fees. And I agree with this lawsuit. This is the first of its kind, by the way. If FTC gets
It won't be
involved
the
in this,
last.
I hope to God they will. Okay. This will be a game changer. So my 2 cents in this is, don't sabotage your own business by raising consumer fees constantly. Junk fees, $5 here, delivery fee, service fee, fast delivery fee, this fee, that fee, and none of that gets passed on to the driver. Okay. And then the drivers get together, revolt, and say we need at least some minimum wage laws. And then they pass those laws. And then you tack on another $5 to make up for that. That means the business you're in is a horrible business to be in, period. So I hope this goes far. This is the first one that FTC is getting involved. So I'm going to just closely follow this. And, I hope this goes places. I really do. And you know who's the plaintiff in this? Supporting this consumer? Towards Justice, David Seligman, who we had on the show. Remember, they're suing Uber in California. And that's his group. And hopefully we'll get him on in a couple months or so and get an update on this case as well.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's move on. Hey,
yeah, we're in a tough household here, people.
Remember,
if you show up
Armenian.
And you're in front of my door and I'm doing some shit, I'm not opening the door to you. You should have learned your lesson and not showed up. Because his deal was he was going to show up at 5. He showed up before 5. So there you go. Done.
Boom. Dropping knowledge here. All right, let's move on.
Tough love. Let's go.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about what's going on with this screenshot you sent me.
Yeah, you know what this is? This is Rides. This is Rides cars. Pretty good density, right?
Yeah.
A lot of drivers with their apps on.
What I said earlier, though, it's pretty accurate. You can easily get all the drivers you want. It's about getting the passengers.
Yeah.
So all these cars that I see on this map right now, they better be up talking rides to their Uber and Lyft passengers, so then they can transition them. They'll save some money, and that's how you got to present it. You got to say, hey, you are going to be able to get more money, save more money. If you're sick and tired of Uber and Lyft's rates, hey, if you take rides, you're going to save some money. So if you're looking at paying $10 for a ride that's now costing you $15 a ride, and it doesn't seem like it's ever going down, check out Rides. Maybe you're going to get it for $11.
Yeah, I know. I mean, all I know is I'm hoping they survive and they battle it out and they get some consumers on board. They probably need different PR, but they sure have enough cars out there. I mean, they signed up 1,800 drivers in like a couple of weeks. So look, man, it's cheaper on the rider side. It's more money for the driver. I am not sure what the problem is here, but as you said, Chris, brand identity, right? Even if it's more, people are going to go take an Uber or a Lyft or whatever. So
I mean, when you got a cold and you got some runny nose, what do you grab?
Yeah, Kleenex.
What do you grab?
Yeah,
exactly.
Kleenex.
But here's the thing: you may not have a Kleenex. It may be a facial tissue. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
And Kleenex is just a brand, just like jet ski is a brand. Jacuzzi is a brand. But they're synonymous with it now. I mean, hell, even Lyft just came out on their X. Did you see their post that they made a couple of days ago? They said, even if you say that you're ordering an Uber and really it's a Lyft, it's okay. Because they know
that happens, though.
We're going to order an Uber, but it could be a Lyft. Who knows? And that's the whole thing when it comes to the brand recognition, when it comes to, how I'm going to say, quote unquote, loyal people are. I don't say that there's no real loyalty when it comes to Uber and Lyft. Let's be real.
Yeah,
but
I agree. How many times
it's just easy to do.
You know how many times I've had a Lyft passenger in the car and they be on the phone. He goes, "I'm in an Uber now."
Yeah.
I go, "You're in a Lyft. You're not in an Uber." But then,
same thing. Like if it's two people talking,
Yeah.
and it's a Lyft, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're got the Uber and heading there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we'll get the Uber later." And
Yeah.
then the one person will correct him and be like, "Oh no, this is a Lyft."
Yeah.
Oh, you get
Anyway,
Lyft? Really?
talk about the fake fake Ubers and fake Lyfts.
Yep.
uh, okay, people, this
This
is
is a family-friendly show, so some of these things.
this is R-rated. Today's are R-rated. No, X-rate, RX, whatever. Okay, so it's gracious of you people. You send me these, okay? I appreciate it. Keep sending in, please. These fake names. Well, I'm not gonna read it out loud. You guys can see
Highest
it.
effing score.
Okay, highest
What?
effing score. Okay, well, how do you do? How
And
do you read the other one?
I'm gonna say Little Love Stain,
Little love stain. Okay,
but
so
it's not love.
yeah,
It's something else. So if you're listening, you might have to look at the screen in order to see what it is. But we're gonna say Little Love Stain, Little Love
yeah,
Stain, and highest effing score.
yeah, yeah. So Uber Lyft, we're back with the vengeance. Last week, maybe you guys thought you got a break because
Oh no no.
you thought I forgot. No, we're back. We're
And
back.
these are not some names in special parts of the world. This is absolutely not.
No, these are definitely not Sanskrit or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
this
just
is
say the
horrible.
Uber fake name is probably pretty accurate, though.
Well, the
Little Love
funny thing
Stain.
is the one on the right, the one on the right, right, and the one on the left, they both accepted these trips.
Oh boy, yeah.
You see
You
that,
know
right?
what though? You know what? Oh
Curiosity.
man.
Yeah, they both accepted the trip. Starting to wait to start the ride, bro. I don't know. Anyway, so I have to go. My
Yeah,
son
you
is in
know what
front of the
though?
door. He has soccer practice. My
Hold on,
daughter is
before you
waiting.
go,
Yeah,
one thing I
sorry.
want to say,
Yeah.
pick up highest F and score. You know who that would be in 30 years? El Bundy. I scored 4 touchdowns. The
Sorry,
most
first
ever.
touchdown. Yeah, this is unacceptable over in Lyft. Hopefully, under the new
Yep.
verification laws, this will not stand. Especially the one on Uber. I mean, holy crap. Okay, come on now.
Yep.
But we have one more minute. We went over, Chris, today. You're not keeping me straight.
Dude, you were going off.
I'm going off, bro. So we do it once a
You're
week. It's
fired
cool.
up today.
Okay, so please go sign up, subscribe to my new channel. Maybe Bill Ackman will come there. You guys want to watch a billionaire? Me interview a billionaire. I interviewed the OG of OGs of traders. I mean, it's amazing. So it's there. But on this channel, subscribe to this channel. Put your thumbs up. Algorithm likes it when you put the thumbs up. And go to the newsletter. Read the newsletter. Go get insurance, rideshare insurance, please. Protect your ass, man. These companies are not here to protect you.
Lyft and Uber. This is accurate. This is very
Yes.
accurate. There are more video game filters on the things that you can and can't than what Uber and Lyft allow for the names that we see. And it shows as we've shown them.
I agree. Yeah. So this needs to end, Uber and Lyft. So we're going to continue with the names. Next week will probably lighter. Not this bad. This week
We'll see.
windy.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows what'll end up
Oh,
happening?
maybe somebody will
And
send me something.
And if you want to see one that I posted yesterday on X, go follow me on X and you'll
Yeah.
see that there. and tell me, would you take that ride or not if that came across? So that's what I want to know. But with that said, yes, head over to Sergio's channel, check it out. You can check out our follow links in the description, whether it's YouTube, X, wherever. And also, don't forget, we have our deal on the courses. So if you're new to driving or newer and want to learn a lot more when it comes to rideshare or food delivery, you got the code to get 15% off through the end of the month. Also, the delivery guy by RSG and the rideshare guy en Espanol for our Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters out there. Make sure you go over there, check out those channels, subscribe, or share them with Spanish-speaking person that you may know.
Yeah.
And with that being said, go out there and make that money And we'll
Thumbs
see you
up.
guys next week.
Thumbs up.